All right, stop scrolling. Join me and Donna. We're going to sit back and we're going to talk about living in today's world and how important it is that we learn to live with intention. It's easy not to, but it's also easy to. So join me and Donna on our little life and let us share some tips and advices of how to strengthen your marriage and survive the days that we're living in. Well, hello, our little lifers.
Hi,
I'm
guys.
Mark.
And I'm Donna.
Today, we're going to go down a few rabbit trails. I've been seeing some different videos, and I agree with a lot of the topics out there to where we don't live in the same world we grew up in.
Absolutely not.
We do, we just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
But just kind of want to come on here, and obviously we're going to have all types of stuff on this channel, but a little bit of a deeper one here, and I think it just gets into how we all sense, or most of us sense, that something's just off.
Yeah. It really is.
It's intense.
Yeah, it is. Things have definitely changed a lot, and I think that there's such divide among people now that maybe has always been there and we just didn't know it, with the way people think about politics and religion. But I think the one thing that I see, at least for me, that seems really intensely different is the how people, and especially online, I don't know that people would say this directly to anybody's face, but especially online, how they'll bash somebody for their Christianity. And it's happened on my channel. I just had somebody say something real ugly to one of my subscribers when they said something about God. And I was like, not on my channel. Not today.
I think it's just, when we used to grow up, I used to be really naive. Like I thought that a police officer was a police officer and a doctor was a doctor, and your mom and dad were like, everybody was just categorized.
When they were held to a standard.
Yes, held to standard.
We've talked about before how our teachers, when we were like younger and in school, I mean, I don't even think I realized that my teachers had a life outside. Like no one was married. They just lived in a bubble, maybe in the cafeteria or something. And they that's what they did. They just taught you, about life and stuff. And they weren't telling you all about their personal life. And
that's what's bizarre. I think I personally miss the days of being naive before social media. Like the politicians and the leaders of the world, there was this enigma about them.
Right.
You didn't know their personalities. You didn't know.
And I mean, like as far as judges and stuff, I really thought everybody was, if you had that position, that you were unbiased. Right. And I used to think, wow, what a respectable position to have, because you can maybe be in court watching a certain case and really have an opinion on it, but you have to rein that in.
This is going to be a perfect example of the power of social media. Those of you that are obviously subscribers here on this small channel, glad you're here. How many of you, put in the comments, have seen that what was that concert? Creed? Was it Creed? But it was this.
Oh, Coldplay.
I'm sorry, Coldplay. And it was the billionaire company and him and his
astronomer, I think is what it was called. I think it was called like astronomer or something like
whatever,
that.
But they were caught on the kiss cam.
Yeah.
And they were caught. He had his arms around her, and then they got caught on the kiss cam. They were having an affair. And they worked together.
Yeah, and I think the lead singer said, "Oh, they must be having an affair."
Yeah, but how many of you have seen that? Point is, social media has so changed everything. We're overly exposed to everything going on in the world. We can see the most horrible things. We can see people that are leaders of countries and companies and communities and counties, sheriff, on it goes. And you're just seeing how messed up people are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We read, I would read in the Bible how messed up, like
right.
King David had an affair.
Yeah.
And you read about that, and God still used him, blah, blah, blah. But now we're literally watching someone get caught on camera,
right,
having an affair. It's mind numbing. So and it's taking it down to the lower levels of society, being able to see how people act.
mm-hmm.
And it's embarrassing.
Well,
for a human.
Yeah. I mean, like I've seen so many videos of, Congress women. There was a judge, I think it was a lady judge, and she got caught speeding, going like twice the speed limit. And instead of just accepting the ticket, I mean, she acted so entitled. She said, "You don't know who I am." And I thought, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who you are. You could have killed somebody's child. It's just,
yeah. Let's kind of, I guess, gear it towards, living with intention, mm-hmm. because I'm worse about this. Donna's not. I'm bad about getting sucked into some things online that just drives me crazy. I'm just like,
yeah, they don't serve a purpose for your life. Like, you don't need to watch it because it frustrates you.
Yeah,
and you can't do anything about it. Something that's already happened. You can't change it.
Stupidity of, and how popular some of the channels are, and it's people just either pranking someone or doing something stupid. Some, young ladies degrading themselves. And
we just saw something. And, we have looked at our analytics on here. We don't really have any young folks watching this channel. But, if you have like granddaughters or daughters that are of that age, I think it would really be beneficial to talk to them and just say, the internet doesn't go away.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad that I was not young.
Oh my gosh.
When the internet was around, because I probably would have, I would probably still be on there.
Oh man, I'm glad.
Doing something I shouldn't have been doing.
No kidding. Whew.
But like one day you're probably going to have children. So that's that thing, like what he just said, living with intention. I think that we need to live every single day like it might be our last. And you know what? I'm just going to throw this in here really quick. My stepdad and my mom have a really good friend, and he was, I didn't know how old he was. I thought he was in his 60s. Very fit, one of the nicest people you'd ever meet. And he just worked out every single morning and, eat healthy, the whole 9 yards. And he had a stroke a couple days ago. And it was it was a stroke, but it caused some bleeds on his brain. And he just passed away today. And it's like, you never know, when your last day is going to be. And it's just those things that you've kind of maybe heard all your life, don't walk away, don't go to bed angry with each other, this down to the simplest things like that, because I could walk out the door and slam the door behind me and get in a car wreck, and, maybe we yelled at each other or something. You want to live every minute of your day, of your life, and each day like it might be your last, and make the most of it and be the kindest person that you can be and the nicest person you can be. There's somebody that is on my channel, and I do believe they're a subscriber, and they pride themselves in being not a nice person. And I'm like, I don't understand that. Like, I don't understand that. Like, why would that be something you'd brag about? And they brag about it. I'm not going to name names. But.
Well, I think it's like I just had a guy I went to school with all the way back to elementary school.
He was in our wedding.
And he just died. They just had his funeral was yesterday. He was 61 years old. And
which used to sound old, but it is not.
Yeah,
old.
Not at all now, right?
No.
But to wrap this up and kind of gear towards living with intention and trying to leave something of value, because like we've always said, we want this channel to be of value. We want it to be worth your while to spend time with us as we sit here and look into this camera and just share our observations and views on life. That God can use it to touch you. And so when I find myself uh, sort of trying to pay attention to God's whisper, in other words, when something's laid on your heart to call someone, reach out to someone, speak to
Yeah.
someone, do that.
Yeah.
I find that it doesn't happen, or I ignore it when I'm all consumed, right?
Yeah.
When I'm
Yeah.
just all stressed out, or
I can't tell you, like, I know I'm interrupting
that's
you.
right.
He is so good about that because I am a little more, I know it might not seem like it, but I'm a little more introverted. I mean, I'm just like, yeah, I'm happy. I'll just be home with my chickens. But we have a park, a very lovely park that we go walk in occasionally. And if we're in the park, we'll walk, and Mark will literally just stop and go, I feel like I need to go talk to that person. And I'll be like, no, don't stop. And he will. And next thing I know, he's praying and they're crying. And I mean, like, it's just, that's God
Yeah, and I think that's what
every
I'm glad you,
time.
you brought that up, because that's what I kind of wanted to share. And again, I'm always going to say this: I get it. If you're struggling with belief, or maybe you don't believe in God, or question it all. There's been many times in my life, like I grapple with that, and we ask ourselves, God, where you at? Like, you're try to pray, and it feels like it's going to the proverbial ceiling and no further,
Yeah.
and it's easy to just stop praying. But the things that happen and show up in my life is when I try to keep my heart soft enough that I get away from my worries and fears, and just overthinking, that I have those whispers. And when it never fails, when I'm obedient to it, I end up seeing God.
Yeah.
And so many times, we look for the burning bush or the parting of the sea moments in life. The doubting Thomas, I got to see, I've got to touch the wound before I believe. And it's not like that all the time. And perfect example of I don't see God or hear God when I'm self-absorbed. It's
Mm-hmm.
impossible.
Yeah.
And I find myself doing more questions and doubting. But when I'm able to soften the heart a little bit, and I hear that whisper, and a perfect example happened twice in the past week and a half. And we had a network meeting I was to go to, and I wasn't going to go. As many of you know, I just recently lost both of my mom and dad within 2.5 months of each other. So I've been kind of consumed
Yeah.
with the fallout of all of that and the years that led up to it. And so I went ahead, and I felt like I should go. But it was almost like God was saying, I call it a public service announcement. I'll go, and sometimes I'll just share something from the heart instead of what I do. Most people know what I do when I show up. But I just had this sensing that someone would be there that needs to hear a certain thing. And it happened. And I was just, sharing what I'd been through with mom and dad, and kind of living with intention and understanding that people are going through some very challenging, difficult times, and et cetera. And a young lady came up to me afterwards, and with tears in her eyes, and just everything I shared, she needed to hear, And so at that same meeting, there was a young man there that I had met probably 6 months ago, and they were opening a new community. It wasn't open yet. They were doing pre-sales, and it was a meet and greet. And so I got there, and I was one of the first ones there. And when I met this guy, I sensed brokenness. I don't know how to put my finger on it. I just sensed brokenness, and he was just starting the job, and not that this matters, but he had mentioned, he goes, yeah, I was a student pastor at some church. Yeah, and I'm thinking, hey, I wonder why he's not a
Yeah.
pastor anymore,
Yeah.
right?
What
And he's
happened?
over here in this totally opposite space and
Yeah.
industry. So anyway, I honestly would think about him every once in a while. So fast forward all these months, he was at that meeting. And so I'm like, hey, how's things been going? He goes, well, I didn't know. No, I'm not. I'm no longer there. I'm now with this hospice company. I'm like, that's a totally
Right.
another jump over
Yeah.
to a whole different job sector. And so I'm like, hey, let's go grab some lunch. one day, and he goes, oh, yeah, I'd like that. And so I actually called him the other morning. I said, hey, I'm not dropping in, understand not last minute, but hey, you want to go grab lunch today? And so we did. So long story short, the things that were laid on my heart, it ended up being one of the most powerful lunches. And we got so deep in conversation. And, for those of you I may have shared, I've been through a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
I know what it's like to be broken mentally.
Yeah.
I grew up with seeing it in my family, so I can, relate to that. And so it ended up going really deep. And he had struggled with depression, and he actually was going to commit suicide. And he's had 2 young kids. And luckily his wife, kind of sensed something was going on. So the point is, my whole point to it is, and some of you that are watching this, you're hurting, or you're surrounded by people that are hurting. We all try to put on the brave face and we try to act like everything's okay, but inside we're literally going insane mentally with our thoughts and our fears and our worries and our struggling for faith and trying to find a foundation to be firmly planted. But I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, the world is at a place in a point in time in life that it's not going back.
Yeah.
There's no going back to the quote unquote good old days. And if you go and you look at an older movie, back from the 80s, and the Christmas movies and the bustling cities, like planes, trains, and automobiles,
Yeah.
Those days are gone.
Right.
Now it's broken cities. They're just homelessness and rioting and drugs and
yeah.
It's crazy what we've lost. There's no more going to the mall.
Yeah.
And having these encounters of you go shopping and you have your lunches and whatever. Things have changed. And there's some of you that are going through a very difficult time. And I want this to engage you. I want it to, God to encounter you, and you realize that God is still there. There's always still hope. This too shall pass.
Yeah.
And it's important that we learn to live with intention. And I think what, Donna and I, in our years of marriage, and we'll maybe share some episodes down the road of what has made our marriage successful during the difficult. Hey, what was it like to live with a husband with a nervous breakdown, right? I mean, some really serious things go on. So just kind of felt led to come and just sort of talk and share these observations that if you feel like things are off in life, well, they are. Yeah. They really are. And sometimes you just got to take a moment, take a break, put it down, and just breathe. That's why we enjoy the little homesteading, the chickens, because you stay really busy.
I stay busy. I love to just be outside.
Yeah.
Even though it's sweltering out there.
So I said a lot there. What do you want to use to round this and close this off?
I think everything you said is great. I mean, when we use the term living with intention, I think it's not just your job, but I think a lot of times people don't really know, and Marcus said this before, you don't really know what you have a passion for or what fuels you. Some of you have jobs maybe that you just hate. And, you're spending your day there. But I think a lot of times if you can find that something that you have a passion for and make it something good where you can have an impact on people. And for the longest time, I did rescue. I did dog rescue. And I mean, that was, I had such a passion for that. And I, without really realizing it, could see, started to see the impact that I had on people by just being a kind person, listening to people. I had a lot of people I adopted to that, would tell me personal things, and some people would even be like, I really would like, yes, if you would pray for me about this or that. Just making a human connection, because I think we've lost that human connection so much with the internet. Here we are using the internet to talk bad about the internet. But you know what I mean, because there's just so much bad stuff. And I think it has empowered people a lot to be bullies, and I want my goal, especially with my channel, is to just have my channel is the Coop Scoop, and it's just about chickens, but it's also just a nice place for there to be good, wholesome content, and it's not
Isn't it crazy how you're making just this lighthearted, and this gets back to what we're saying, it's a chicken channel.
Yeah.
And somebody will just, the trolls are amazing. It really is sad. But anyway, button it up, baby. And let's...
Yeah. But just, I think that's just a good way to, like, I mean, I got up this morning and we have had a lot going on, and I just felt like I woke up. The cat woke me up this morning at 5:20. I didn't need to be up at 5:20. So I was just like, now I'm awake, laying there. And so I just had the iPad over there and I just put the Bible on. I just turned it on and tried to go back to sleep, but it's like going in my mind, like all the attributes that we should be. And I think that, there are times when I get like ambitious and you think, wouldn't it be nice to start a movement where we're just like, I'm going to make a point, to be nice to people. I'm going to make a point to make an impact in a positive way on people's lives. Yeah. And that is easier said than done sometimes.
Yes, it is. People can make it challenging.
Yeah, people can make it challenging, but that's what we want our channel to be about, is just make it. And sometimes it's going to be about just something silly or fun or whatever, but
who knows, right? But yeah, leave your comments. Let us know what you think.
Yeah. And you know what also, and I've thought about this. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, but on my channel, but I want to kind of stay on topic on my channel, which is about chickens. But if you guys have something going on in your life and you need prayer about something, hey,
absolutely.
You're on the prayer list.
Yeah.
So just let us know. And,
good one.
So that's it, dude.
Yep. All right. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think. It's important to get feedback. So if you're enjoying our content, and you enjoy this video, like, subscribe, comment, hit that notification bell so you don't miss the next whatever we're going to be talking about.
Exactly.
So I'm Mark.
And I'm Donna.
Our Little Life.
Have a good day,
See you
guys.
later.